Hi everybody, Suzanne Lyons here, and thanks so much for joining me again. We are in tip number 4 already, and we've had 3 tips on funding your film. I know that is everybody's favorite topic. It is one of my favorite topics. I could go on for days and weeks and forever about different ways to raise money for your film. There's so many, when you start thinking outside, the norm of what, we're all kind of told, there's hundreds of different ways to raise money for your movie. And what I've done is I've narrowed it down into 12, as I mentioned, in tip number 1. We're just going to work on the 12 over the next 12 weeks. And we've done 3 so far. And as I promised all of you, I have Anne-Marie Gillen here this week. I am so excited. She's been a very dear friend for a long time. A very long time. Yeah. And as she's founder and CEO of the Gillen Group, and teaches lots of wonderful workshops too, which you might want to mention a little bit of. Yeah. And also has produced and executive produced a number of movies like Fried Green Tomatoes and Under Suspicion and a number of others over the years as well. But what we want to focus on today is the tip for tip number 4, Anne-Marie, is the importance, I think anyways, of having a sales presentation. I am a big believer in having a sales presentation for a number of reasons, which we can talk about later, but I want to kind of hand it over to Anne-Marie and kind of get her sense and her feel for why do you think it's important for us as producers or whoever we are in the industry, if we're wanting to raise money for our feature film, why go to the possibly the expense, first of all, of renting a room and so on, and to the work and to the stress or whatever else of having a sales presentation?
Well, there's a number of reasons why, and we're going to focus on a couple of them today in this presentation and these tips. But certainly for a lot of your listeners and the level that they're at and probably the level of movie that they're doing, a lot of times the reason an investor is going to invest in you is because of you. So within a sales presentation, the first thing that you're going to be doing is really selling yourself.
Got it.
Your team.
That's good. That's really good.
And it's very important. When you get at a much higher level and you've produced before and you've got credits, then other things come into play stronger. But number 1, they're going to be looking at you. Okay. How passionate you are, how visionary that you are, what a sense of the marketplace that you have, the sense of how you're going to get it distributed, because without distribution, they won't get their money back. Got it. So you really need to, in your sales presentation, cover 3 things. Okay. And those 3 things are the creative. Okay. Your passion, your vision, and what the creative is about. Okay. Second, the business side of it. How you're going to return the investment for your investor. So you've got to talk business sense. So you've really got to understand, because a lot of those people have money because they're smart enough in business and they want to know that you have a business sense, or someone on your team does. Yeah. And third, that you really know who your key target audience is. Okay, so the demographic. And you can speak of that, your demographic, right? And it doesn't have to be large, but you really need to know who it is and how you're going to get to them and why your piece will get to them. And you want those equally balanced. Okay, nice. Oh my God, that was fantastic. So that if I'm going to be doing a horror film, for example, I know that there's a demographic out there, and I even know maybe the age group and other films that have had that demographic and what's happened as a result of that. Exactly. And then have my ducks in a row, so I know all the creative and I know exactly how I'm going to sell it, and so all of that stuff. So you really have to wear the business hat and the creative hat and know exactly what you're doing. Exactly. Because there could be a lot of questions coming your way at the end of that presentation. Absolutely. Okay. And it isn't that you have to have all the answers, but make sure that in that sales presentation you have on your team people that will have the answers. Okay. So you don't want to, if a question comes up that you can't answer, you don't want to have to flump it or in any way lie, God forbid. Yeah, you just pass it off to the person that you have on your team that can answer that. Right, like maybe your line producer if it comes to talking about the budget a little bit, or how can you do it for that budget, or when Kate and I did our sales presentations, my film partner Kate Robbins over the years, we made sure that we had a lot of our, the key people there, our DP, our director, our line producer, so when there were questions about the budget. And even advisors. Or advisors. Maybe they're not part of the production team. But, someone like myself, I'm a consultant to independent producers and investors out there. So maybe there's somebody like me on your team that you want to bring in that is just a consultant, but I'm not part of the whole production team. Maybe you want your attorney there.
Oh, it's a good one.
Maybe a casting director. Maybe a foreign sales agent.
Right.
So you really want to understand the whole business package to know who else do you want there besides just the obvious, which is the production key personnel.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Not that isn't as important as these others, but a lot of people don't think of the full package team that you need to give an investor calm.
I never thought of that. I mean, that would have been really smart. I never thought of having my entertainment attorney there, for example.
Yes.
It never occurred to me. I was so thinking, my DP, my line, that sort of thing. I mean, we ended up having a really successful sales presentation, but now that I think of it, it would have been really nice, and it would have given the people in the room even more confidence to know that they could even question, like a consultant like you, my entertainment attorney. It just would have added to the whole mix of just that credibility.
Right, exactly, the credibility. Whether they talked or not, just the idea that person was there, you were able to introduce them, talk about their background. That just is, I call it the good housekeeping stamp of approval.
Got it.
So it's unstated base of as your team holding you up.
Yeah, no, I'm very clear. Very clear. That was fantastic. That's amazing. Now, you mentioned, could you say a little bit about a couple things? One is you mentioned about consulting. Yes. And also I know you do workshops, I believe, in that arena. Yes. And then also you have a book. She's with the same company, Focal Press, who, remember, you guys know that I have my book that just came out, actually. Well, Emery's came out about a year ago around this time. And so if you could just tell us a little bit about your book, because it may be something that these people that are watching would probably want to buy, actually.
Yeah, it's called The Producer's Business Handbook, Roadmap for the Balanced Producer. And you already heard me talking about the balanced producer, but that's what it's all about, is really understanding those three key areas and making sure that you're not heavily weighted in one or the other at the loss of one or the other two. So that's the basis of it.
Fantastic.
And what it is my 25 years in the business, I've really looked at what works, what doesn't work, what are the most successful producers and mini majors and production companies doing. And there's 7 key things that they do consistently. Okay. And that's what the book is about.
Oh my God, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
And so in answer to the workshops, I do anything from a 2-hour to a full 8-hour workshop.
Okay.
All around those 7 major principles. Okay. Which leads you into business plans, marketing, distribution, running financials, all of those business aspects that so many producers are befuddled about.
Oh my God, this is fantastic.
Because most of the film schools will teach you all about making a movie. Yeah. But if you look at the lifetime of a movie, the shortest period of time is the making. Development can take 2, 5, 7 years. Fried Green Tomatoes took 5.
Wow.
Forrest Gump took 12.
Whoa.
And then you've got to get your business plan and raise the money, and that can take years. Yeah. Then you make it. And then you've got marketing and distribution, which could go in perpetuity.
Hello, I'm still doing it. Yeah.
You really have got to be a well-balanced producer. You've got to understand A to Z, or at least understand it enough that if it's not an area of expertise, you bring in a team member where it will be.
Brilliant. This is so brilliant. And do you have like a website where we could go, where people can go and find out about your services, whether it's in consulting, workshops, how to get your book, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Okay. It's www.gillengroup.com. I'll spell that. My last name is Gillen, Gillen, then group, Group, LLC, like limited liability company, .com.
Brilliant. Okay. If I were anybody watching, go and do that right now. I'm going to do it afterwards too, because I want to take more advantage of Anne-Marie. Yeah. And luckily, we've been friends for a long time, and we have had lunches and lots of times, and we do kind of share this kind of information, because this is really important stuff. It really is important. It's not just that 6 weeks of shooting or 14 days of shooting or whatever it happens to be. It's years of your life.
Absolutely.
I really get that. And I mentioned at the beginning that I would mention what I love doing about sales presentation, and I've done a number of them especially with our smaller, low budget films, and that is, to me, one of the most important things for me, not just obviously doing the presentation and having people want my PPMs and then hopefully writing me checks, albeit that's good, and getting money, but it makes it real for me. Anne-Marie, I find when I'm standing in front of 40 people or 60 people or 100 people or whatever, and I say I'm making a movie, all of a sudden in my own body I get, oh my God, I'm making a movie.
Right.
Especially when you're saying it publicly.
Right. It's making a stand for yourself. It's putting it out there.
Exactly. And it, like you were saying about your passion, it kind of alters who you're being. When it makes it real, then your passions come up, because they're not investing, like we said before, in the movie so much as they're investing in you.
Exactly.
And when you're standing on solid ground, like, yes, I'm making this movie and we're shooting July 12th or whatever.
Right.
You know, then it's like, wow, you get it. And then that passion rises, and then they see that and they want to play with
and
you.
it starts generating more energy and momentum around it. It's so very true.
It is. When Kate and I, we had sold 2 units at the time we did our sales presentation, and we did 2 in 2 weeks. Like we did one on 1 week and one the next.
Yes.
And within those 2 weeks of those 2 sales presentations, we went from 2 units, having sold 2 shares, to 22.
Wow.
And I don't even know if it was anybody in the room during those 2. It was who we were being in the matter, where we were just, we got it. We were making a movie. So all of a sudden my energy was such that whoever I talked to got enrolled and excited and turned on and passionate and playful and wanted to write checks.
Beautiful.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah,
Honest
that's
to God,
so true.
It really is so true. So, so that's it, everybody. And I'm going to keep her here. I've locked the door. So that she's so amazing. I'm keeping her here, and we're going to have her for tip number 5. So this time next Friday, she's back, and we'll have her for tip number 5, and when we talk about talent and the importance of talent in your films. And that's it. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for being here.
You're so welcome.
This has been so much fun, and go home and have some fun this weekend, and start taking in all this great advice and making some notes and looking at ways that you're going to be able to raise funds for your feature film. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.